There's young Joseph, and there's older me. You can see he's in homeland, and I'm freezing to death, having just arrived on a big jet plane across to England. And here's where we were, right down near the Bristol Channel. I love the GPS on your phone because you can actually prove exactly where you were, right? Not far from the place called, how do you pronounce that? Chepstow? Something like that. There's Newport on the other side. Okay, now when you have a look, I was at this site because for many years, 40 years ago, I visited this site to collect dinosaur fossils. Yes, and there's all sorts of other fossils there. Oh, what are we collecting on that day? Can you actually see the scallop shell? There is no doubt about it. Scallops are still the same today, even though these rocks are supposed to be in the hundreds of millions of years of age. We've taken field trips there over the years. Only at low tide, by the way. This is one of those bore type areas where the tide comes in and comes high. But what's interesting is they have signs up there that tell you about this field trip area. I mean, look at the pictures of the layers there, and they give you names for the layers. The red ones are different from the green ones, and then they have a story about this, how over time it became a drowned desert. The red stuff at the bottom is a desert that was buried by the watery stuff that came in at the top. Now, I don't know about you, but I live in a country where there's lots of deserts, and they're usually very dry. If we call it drowning the desert, then we talk about floods. But floods is not an in word still in most people's mind, because the reason Charles Lyell got underway was his aim was, and we've said it before, so go and look at our quotes, to remove Moses from science. Moses, creation, Moses, 6 days, Exodus 20, verse 11, God telling Moses what he did, and Moses, Noah's flood record in Genesis chapter 6 through 10. Okay, now all of this is generic, and you can say, well, John Mackay, you're just a good storyteller. And there's no doubt about that is true. That's why kids love our storybooks on Noah. I love telling stories, always have. But what about the stories for the big kids? When I first went to this area many, many years ago, I picked up from the Geological Association the guides to the area. You'll see the Bristol Channel there on the left, the unmarked area. You'll see the red line, which is the cross section we're going to look at, because in the textbook, it's actually allocated there, right? All right, now you see the big pink one that shows up at the spot. Then you've got all these other layers. The bricky ones are limestone. The sort of dotted ones are sandstone. And then you've got a section at the top. And the evolutionist explanation is this took millions of years. So there was my challenge. Okay, here is a section that my professor, based on what he said at the Grand Canyon, would have said, this has been formed sideways. But I have a sideways machine. We invented it. And by the time we get to testing this one, we're up to Mark 10 strata machine. Yes, research is expensive. We're now up to Mark 11 or 12 because a big storm smashed that one to pieces. So outdoor research can be quite expensive. So for those of you watching and enjoying, if you want to help us with the cost of this, there's the way to do it. So click on to Sam's donation section there on this program and donate not only a cup of coffees, but the 10 pounds or 20 US dollars to go with it. Okay, so here we are, 2019, with the Mark 10 strata machine. After, you can see the sediment coming in with the flowing water at the right-hand side. You can see a layer there. Let's go closer up. All right. Now, what's happening here? You can actually see the water flowing uphill on the right. You can see it flowing with level at the top, and you can see it bouncing along with curves and also, actually, if you have a close-up look at that, can you see all the strata that's formed? Now, this is one current always flowing in the same direction. Look at this. One of the things we've observed, look at the right-hand side, just at the top. The layers there are not forming horizontally. They're actually forming parallel to the surface of the current. You know, I'm rewriting Steno's rules, that the law that says the layers form on the bottom first and they always form originally horizontally. I've decided that is nonsense. The layers in any deposit will form parallel to the surface of the current. I mean, look at the ones at the bottom. You see these nice curved ones? None of this sediment has been moved by uplift. This sediment has always been forming from right to left. And when it's been going topsy-turvy, it's formed current layers that are topsy-turvy. Nothing got moved around by any tectonic plate movement. Okay. Now, all that there, the sediment was coming in one. Oh, look, you can even see the top much clearer here. On the right-hand side, you will see the sediment is always forming parallel to that top of that wave. Quite amazing. In other words, you can say the anticlines and the synclines, these are the ones that go with geology or with the gravity or against it, uphill or downhill. None of them are due to subsidence or uplift. Now, the only thing we've done is actually vary the speed of the current, because that's what happens every day in a tide. And I sat in Washington State and watched a flood. Yep, I sat there for 3 days. I did go home for a bit of sleep, by the way, but I photographed the water coming down. There's no doubt about it. The flood would be vicious, and then it would slow down a bit. Then you'd have massive rain again, and you get bigger water coming in. So the speed of the current varied. Can you see what's happening? We are getting incredible deposits. And all of that, what looks like anticlines and synclines below it, is now got an opposite thing sitting on the top. And the water is still going in exactly the same direction. All that's changed is the speed of the current. Now, we are not taking millions of years to do this. We are not taking hundreds of years. It's undeniable. The beds are forming parallel. I mean, look at that. Flat at the top on the right-hand side. Then as it goes over the hill in the current, it's the current which is determining where the bed is, not the bed determining where the current is. All right, now let's go. There's the bottom. That's the map, the cross-section out of the map guide from the Geological Association. What you've got at top is our section in the strata machine. The bottom one, according to the experts, took millions of years. Are you ready? Are you up to coping with the next bit? Have you taken your blood pressure pills on your heart tablets? Because the top section took 20 minutes. And all that happened, we didn't change the content of the sediment. We actually changed the speed just 2 or 3 times, because that's what we see in the real world. In bores like the Bristol Channel, when the tide comes in or out, in storms, even in tides, with wave surges, in tsunamis. Again, can I stress one thing? There's the principle we've been using in geology at Jurassic Ark. Teach the students, taking the schools. The issue involved here is not time, but process. And if you get the wrong process, like the sediments at the bottom got there first, shake up a cup, watch the sediment students settle down, that is not the right process. No wonder you think it took millions of years. You see, the problem with most geologists, and the problem including many Christians, is they got the scale of Noah's flood and the wrong process. They picked the wrong process. Can I encourage you out there, if you want to see more of this, then support the work. Yes, 10 years of this has cost us a fair bit of money and a fair bit of time. And Joseph is so excited by it too, as we are. And we're no problem sharing this with you. So go to our website and click on experiment number 10 and 11. And this experiment you've just seen will be number 12. We're just getting it ready for posting up now. And you can share it with your friends. They need to see